Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Male Gynecologist. Today, I have a really interesting guest. You might be one of the more famous people that I've had on, Professor Isaac Berzin, who's co-founder and chief technology officer of Vaxic Technologies. But what I think is really fascinating is that you were named one of the 100 most influential people by Time Magazine. And I want to start out with that because I can't say that I've honestly met anybody that's ever been one of the top most influential people. So what is it that got you that title?
I think they just needed a name, and
Ah,
this one
well,
came up.
they didn't use my name. So come on. I mean, you had to do
No, I
something.
think I'm okay thinking differently.
Mm.
So I think sometimes when you think differently, you get burned, and sometimes you come up with amazing things. It's a package deal, and I think they meant the few times that it was actually creating something of value.
Well, you've done a lot of work. I mean, you have your PhD in chemical engineering and biotechnology, so you're a much smarter human than I am. But you've won a lot of awards for kind of looking at sustainability and climate change. Why don't you kind of like tell me, because I don't know, what was the area that you were looking at?
So actually, I was a researcher at MIT at the Center for Space Research, working on a NASA-sponsored project for the International Space Station. And then I stumbled upon microalgae.
Mm,
And we tend to think that microalgae they have nothing to do with life, right? Uh, so this was kind of an introduction, first of all, to the beauty of microalgae, different shapes and colors, and just you need a microscope for that. But when you do,
hmm
it's just breathtaking. The second thing is I learned about microalgae that they're just a basket full of nutrition with no waste. Because think about us, the staple crop we use for feeding ourselves, let's say corn, for example. It's kind of embarrassing to think about what percentage of the plant material, the stems, the roots, the leaves, everything, right? That we invest fertilizers and energy and water, right? What percentage of the plant material are we actually eating?
mm.
It's a single digit. So we are producing mostly garbage. It's amazing. Nevertheless, microalgae has, it's a single cell organism. They grow by cell division, world champions in photosynthesis,
Hmm.
but it's 100% nutrition. So once you realize that, it kind of, at least for me, it blew my mind. Okay, and um, and then you realize that a lot of things that we think that we're getting it from animal based nutrition, for example, like omega threes or B12. They're coming from the micro world.
Hmm.
Fish accumulate omega-3 in their oil mainly from the algae they consume up the food chain. They do not produce it, they accumulate it. So basically, think about this. When you want to consume algae-based omega-3, you're just getting it's not a question if you want to be a vegetarian or not. It's just getting it from the source. I necessarily enjoy the mercury flavor that you might get with, but it's just something that makes sense, right?
Right.
Same with vitamin B12. We think about beef is one of the biggest food vehicles for vitamin B12. Beef do not the animal the cow does not produce B12. It's a microorganism in their gut. Okay, so a lot of what we associate with animal-based nutrition is coming from the micro world. So why just not getting it for the micro world? Okay, that's the question I was able to pose,
Mm.
which some might think to think differently.
So the concept of microalgae, meaning like it's invisible, you can't see it with the naked eye. This is the
Correct.
same. Is this the same as like phytoplankton and stuff that you find in the
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
ocean?
Phytoplankton. Yeah, phytoplankton is a mix of microorganisms, like microalgae, and also the first level that eats the microalgae.
Hmm.
So it's a mixed bag of the small things that we don't see in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
But when we talk about microalgae, I think in context of nutrition, there's only a handful of strains that are allowed for
Okay.
human consumption. They're on the GRAS list. Spirulina is one of them. Chlorella. These are known species that people might know,
Yeah.
and few others, but not a lot. Surprisingly, there are hundreds of thousands of strains, and out of this whole ocean of opportunities, we only use A handful. It's unbelievable.
So what animals in the food chain would use microalgae as their food source?
So, for example, all the marine ecosystem is based on microalgae. They're primary producers. They basically think about this. So, what is photosynthesis? Is taking carbon in the form of CO2 of gas, converting it to organic carbon that you can eat, right?
Right.
So everything is fed by photosynthesis in the aquaculture world. Okay, you know, and it's not a big surprise because microalgae are aquatic species. They grow in water, so it makes sense. But spirulina, for example, is one of the most ancient foods for human nutrition. It was there. It's mentioned as food in Lake Chad in Africa, thousands of years ago. People just using sieve to sieve them out of the water and consume them. So it has been used by humans for thousands of years. But I also learned to understand the shortcoming. Why didn't we have algae for breakfast, Sean? If it's so amazing, basket full of nutrition,
Yeah.
why didn't we have it? So we didn't have it from several reasons. First of all, it stinks. It's
Mm.
not nice to say, but it's not a pleasant experience. The smell and the taste is horrific. But that's not because of the algae. That's because of the way we produce it and or cultivate it and process it. I'll give you an example. Spirulina is about 70%, 70 protein. It's a very high protein, including all the essential amino acids, which is amazing for a non-animal source. Nevertheless, and it grows mainly in warm places. You need about 30 centigrade to keep it happy. So think about fish, right? When you just harvest fish, it doesn't smell. You know when it smells? When it's in the sun for a couple of hours. Same with
Hmm.
spirulina. Okay, once you harvest it out of the pond and you don't chill it immediately and you don't cool it immediately, it's like dairy product or meat. It's going to stink. The second thing is you grow it in open ponds mostly. An open pond is very slow flow. We call it laminar flow in the professional language, very slow. And algae tend to settle. So in the bottom of these ponds, you have a layer of disgusting rotten algae just because this is the system that you chose to cultivate it. Okay, so something needs to be done that microalgae will have no smell and no taste. Okay, that's a first interaction. Second thing, if you grow it with sunlight or outdoor conditions, there's a huge nutritional variation. Every day, the composition of the algae is different because every day, sunny, it's cloudy, it's cold, it's warm, right? Algae react. They react in real time. So how can you ever make the connection between nutrition, vitamin, mineral, content and your product, which is all over the place? I think it's typical to most of the natural products, but in algae it's accelerated because you harvest every day. Okay, so if you harvest every day, this variability is like inherent in the method you use, which is agriculture. So what we try to do, we try to actually move away from agriculture with all the problems I mentioned, taste, smell, inconsistent quality, and move it into technology. So technology is what I feel comfortable with, Sean. So it's not a big surprise why this was my choice. And instead of doing something aboard the International Space Station, I decided to do something a bit different on this planet. And as we did that, so what's your toolbox? Your toolbox is light, right? So if you separate from the sun, right, now you can choose your light. You can choose the wavelengths, the colors.
Hmm.
You can choose the intensity. You can choose if you're an algae and if you mix the algae culture, when the algae cell passes next to the wall where the light is penetrating, the algae cell experiences high light. And then as it moves into the inner sections, it experiences lower light. So if you're an algae, you're going to feel this highlight, low light circles, which is also a huge parameter of what's going to determine your quality and composition. So all these things are absolutely controlled when you move from agriculture to technology. Okay,
So
yeah,
you mentioned two things. You mentioned spirulina and chlorophyll. Um, I know a lot of people that use these as supplements, and I think they're probably not super understood. I'm getting the impression that they're probably a really good source of omega 3s. And that's why the fish are probably super high in omega 3s because they eat this for that's what they eat. Um, but let's talk about, because I have a lot of women mostly that listen to this
absolutely.
podcast, and they are, trying to be healthy, trying to be more proactive in their health. Is something like spirulina or chlorophyll something that we should be supplementing with or eating, or how do we incorporate it? And do we need to incorporate it?
Super. I'm surrounded by women. I had two sisters.
Yeah.
I have three daughters, and I was married for 33 years.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand a little bit women. Um, and I can tell you the two things that I think really the influence is amazing. Okay, it's iron and vitamin B12. Okay,
Okay.
so let's talk about them. Iron is a problem because most of the non-animal based iron forms are not bioavailable. So it doesn't matter how much you eat. What counts is how much is absorbed in your body, and it's an issue with a lot of plant-based iron. And iron deficiency, you know how you feel. You feel tired. You feel right. It's this fatigue, tiredness, lack of happiness, lack of okay. So you're drained. Okay, and many women that's how they feel because think about life for women is you pull to million direction. It's very stressful and it drains you. So you have to have something that fills you up. And iron deficiency, I think it's typical. The second one is vitamin B12. And again, the same phenomena, vitamin B12, if something is lacking. So I would say, let's look at it vice versa. Vitamin B12 and iron belong to the very small group of vitamins and minerals that if you can show that in your food, in the food product, you have more than 20% of the daily value, you can have FDA and EFSA approved nutritional and functional claims. For example, if you have more than 20% of the iron, you can say a source of iron. Iron supports, the reduces tiredness and fatigue. If you have B12, for example, you can say source of B12. B12 supports healthy immune system. B12 supports a healthy energy metabolism. Okay, so by this allowed claim, you understand the functionality of these vitamins and minerals that are especially important for women. Okay, and again, if you have a source, and now the magic thing about iron in spirulina, which blew my mind, it's 6.5 times more bioavailable than iron that you find in beef, ham. Okay, it's a world of a difference if you compare it to plant-based iron. So so it's an amazing source of iron, but if you want results on B12 or on iron, you want to have a source that you know the composition. It doesn't change
Mhm.
all over the place. And here comes the issue with spirulina. So spirulina is a wonderful protein source. That's how it's looked at many times. But on the B12 level, it acts as anti-nutrient, and I will explain. Uh, in spirulina, most of the B12 is in the form of something called pseudospirulina. It's a pseudo B12. It's a form that is measured as B12, but our body cannot absorb it. Nevertheless, it competes on the receptors of B12. So, in
Wow.
effect, it's an anti-nutrient. It diminishes your body's ability to absorb. So, and here comes the magic, okay? And it was a surprise for me. And I've worked with algae for 20 years, and I was caught by surprise. When you change the growth conditions, Sean, mainly the light conditions that are described, intensity, light and dark cycles, etc., you activate metabolic pathways that prefer the active form. So if in regular spirulina the ratio of pseudo to active is 10 to 1, we also have 10 to 1 but vice versa, 10 active to 1 pseudo. So all of a sudden, the Icelandic spirulina that we use in Orlo is a bomb of vitamin B12. Okay? And you
Hmm.
feel the difference immediately. So So we measure both forms, and the number we use when we describe the amount of B12 is the net value. So it's the active minus the pseudo form. So it's the most it's the best way to describe the nutritional value that you will get. So I think especially for women, these kind of things are game changers.
Mm-hmm.
Bioavailable iron B12 is like, oh my god. And remember, if you're nursing a mom, you're going to be drained from these tremendously. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on the other, if you have deficiency, the baby will have deficiency. And there was a big paper about deficiency, especially in African countries, because of malnutrition. You can see what's happening with B12 deficiency with kids. It influences their mental and physical development, including the development of the gut system. It's horrific. They're basically crippled for life from lack of vitamin that their mother is lacking as well. So if you think about vulnerable populations, it's a and you know I had a personal experience. One of my daughters was vegan for many years. When she came to the doctor, he looked at the blood test and he said, "From everything I learned in medical school, you should be dead now with these kind of levels of. I don't know how you're even alive." And but I've seen what a nutritional change does for her. She's like a different person. It affects her whole life, the ability to maintain relationship, to study, to keep focus, everything. So I've experienced it. It's a process. It takes time. It's not a B12 shot that you get and you have a spike in your body. You know, your body has a limited rate of absorption. So you have to have a bioavailable source, but you need at least 3 months to feel the difference. It's not a overnight game changer, but it is a major game changer. I can tell you that. Today she's
Great.
married, she's working, she's happy. I didn't find happiness in her in time of B12 deficiency.
Well, I mean, so is it possible to, I mean, you talked about, the vitamins and the protein with spirulina for women. Do you find that it helps with, everybody's interested in like, blood sugars and inflammation, antioxidants and things like that? Does it have additional benefits in those areas?
Yes. So, I started my discussion with you to tell you how much I looked at algae, mainly spirulina, as a basket of nutrition. The amount of it has 56 vitamins and minerals and essential nutrient. Essential meaning, for example, the essential amino acid, the building blocks of protein that our bodies cannot produce them ourselves. We have to have it from an external source, so including those. So all the essential vitamins and minerals. And sometimes the other interesting thing, sometimes you need things to work in concert. Okay, and as a doctor, nutritionist, you're not shocked and surprised. So it's a very nice basket of nutrition that you could use. And again, I think the limiting factor, for example, antioxidants. So it has beautiful antioxidants in that. So it's built in. It's not that I'm taking a bunch of synthetic things and I'm putting it together. No, it's just a basket of. And the thing is, why don't you have spirulina every morning? Because it's disgusting. That's the answer.
Right.
But if it's not disgusting, then it's fun. Okay, so I'll tell you what we did. We actually, so beyond cultivating the algae, we also have a biorefinery facility, and the only solvent we use is water. By design, there's no basically you can pick up the algae from anywhere and you can eat them and nothing is toxic. Okay, so it's basically physical separations and water. That's it. So, but what came out of it is, for example, we have a water soluble part which is blue. How many things are blue in nature? Okay, so we use this blue in one of our Orlo products in the gummies, and it's like out of this world. And it's coming with all the B12 and nutritional values, but it's a nutritional celebration. You can have blue yogurt and you can go crazy, right? On the other hand, you can look at the green part of the algae. What we do is, people sometimes in some applications they do not appreciate green. For example, if you put spirulina in the bread, you don't really appreciate green dots in your bread. It looks moldy, right? So
Yeah.
what we did, we actually pasteurized it, maintained the nutritional value, But then when you put it in bread, you will not be able to tell me which bread is a spirulina bread.
Oh, okay.
And it's on the market in Iceland, by the way. There's a high-end bakery that has spirulina bread, and that's one of their best sellers. So it opens a window to so many possibilities. One of the difficulties we had was to choose which products we're going to integrate it in. And so here's how you win all work. We don't expect you, Sean, to chew on algae, okay?
That's
But
good
what
because I
we
don't want to.
you don't want to, of course you don't want
No,
to, but you
like
don't chew,
no.
but you don't chew on wheat. You want to have
Good.
your
Right.
baguette, right?
Yep.
It's fine, okay. You can make amazing foods out of them, and it can be a nutritional celebration. Work with several, chefs like in Iceland, and the things they make with it, it's just beautiful, tasty, smells great, and you can choose if you're conservative or you're more adventurous person. You can choose how it looks, but none of it has weird taste. And I think that's the game changer. I don't think people, with all the, superfood and everything, great, absolutely yes. But in the end of the day, if it's disgusting, I'm not gonna persist to, with this.
Makes sense. I'm curious if there are any side effects from spirulina.
Not that I'm aware of, but I can tell you that, like many things in life, um, side effects can also come from the growth condition, the growth environment, right? So if, for example, in previous lives, I built and operated one of the largest open pond algae cultivation facilities in the world. It was physically located in Texas, still is. And
Oh,
every morning, it's an adventure. Wild boar jumping in the water. Then you find a dead bird that was there for a week, right? So many times when you talk about allergies, or it not necessarily from the algae, it's from the things that happen there. So, for example, if you have a tomato field, you can also have a dead bird in a tomato field, but you don't. You eat the tomato separate from the dead bird.
right,
In aquatic systems, the dead bird is in the water for a week, right? So it's kind of disgusting.
right.
But so that's one dimension, the growth condition. The second thing that causes people to pause is, some people just, to get any nutritional value, you have to eat a lot of that. And in our case, because the nutritional value is so high, you need very little. So again, when you need very little to gain a tangible nutritional, and again, nutritional claims is a beautiful way, Sean, not because I care about the claim. If you can support a claim, that means you have tangible nutritional value. It's not blah blah, because that my problem with all this with superfood, it's blah blah. It's not
Mhm.
measurable. I'm an engineer. I need something that I can measure and I can stand behind it scientifically. And these nutritional claims and functional claims are beautiful because you can only say it if you have a minimum amount of the key ingredient in your food. So my point is, now it's a new language. Okay, I'm not talking about the superfood, blah blah. No, I'm talking about tangible things. And the beauty here, the amount that you need in order to support them is little. So it's not going to be too expensive because you don't need much. It's not going to be green or whatever because you don't put much. So a lot of things happen. We just don't need this huge amount. And I think that's a beautiful way to go.
So, do you like if you started taking spirulina, would you notice changes? Like, are there discernible effects that you would feel over time?
Yes, and again, I think that so first of all, absolutely yes. Spirulina is one of the well-studied in algae kingdom. It's one of the well-studied vehicles for nutrition. But again, in order to feel those, you have to have consistent quality. Then you can feel something. If the quality changes all the time, it's very hard for you to connect the consumption with the results. So again, one of the things that people, so on the Orlo website, we ask people to share their user experiences from starting from the way that you consume it, and then over time, what kind of, And what we get from people is amazing. And I think everybody is a bit different. So, but again, because we're trying to look at everything in a very scientific way, I'll give an example of what we did. Omega-3 is great, but it's, again, the only question is what is absorbed in your body. And sometimes it's very misleading. Why? Because you take an omega-3 pill, there's a spike of increase of omega-3 in your blood, and then it goes down. And question, okay, went up, went down, how much was absorbed? Okay, that's the key question. So we decided to use something different, not blood levels, but it's something you measure in blood. It's called omega-3 index. What's an omega-3 index? It's basically it's the percentage of omega-3s in the envelope of your cell of your blood cells. So it's an indication that talks about absorption as well. It's indicative of absorption, and it's a single number. Okay. So it's and what we did, we asked people to buy 2 kits. One is a kit that you put, you send it to an external lab. So it's omega-3 kits, omega-3 index kits, and you start at day 0. You put one blood stain and you send it, so you have your baseline. And then after 3 months, you measure your own progress. It's called tested by you because every one of us, Sean, is a bit different. The biome is different, right? Yeah. Your age is different, your metabolism is different. So you want to be able to tailor it to yourself. And this was more than 90% of the users all felt significant increase in their index, which was beautiful. But again, then you can actually even adjust the dosage, right? There's a range of omega-3 index that is considered healthier or something that so you can decide, okay, I want to accelerate now, I want to just maintain. So you can play with it. It's rationalizing your whole nutrition. So I think in many ways it's the same. Everybody's different. Even the same person, different. Like think about a woman when she's nursing, or when she's in menopause, or when she's in her 20s. It's all different. So you have to be able to use things differently, or different amount, or different dosage. But again, Sean, if the composition is all over the place, how will you ever make this connection between the consumption and the benefits? But with the people we said that talked about their hair looked better, their skin looked better, energy level went up. There was usually people say that they have less tendency to get sick and etc. So again, for me, it makes sense because I know the allowed FDA claims, which are based on huge science of connecting a specific vitamin or mineral to, energy metabolism, immune system functionality, etc. So for me, it's not a big surprise, but it's nice to hear it from people. This was their experience, and it's kind of almost like I wouldn't say medicinal food, but something that you can connect food and health. Okay, for me it's beautiful. You're not only food and not hungry. It's food and health. So I think it's a new value proposition. Again, it's all coming from technology, but in the end, as an end user, you just need to understand how this miracle happened so you feel comfortable and it would make sense for you. But in the end, the user experience and the benefits are different. So people ask me, spirulina, it's good for you or bad for you? And I want to say it depends. Yes. Depends how it was cultivated. There are spirulinas that are full of heavy metals. It's toxic. It's like a heavy metal bomb. Don't touch it. And there are spirulinas that are amazing. So it depends.
Okay. So how does this product, and we'll kind of close out on this, how does the product with Orlo, because my people know Orlo because I've talked about their algae oil for quite some time. How does the process with Orlo differ from some of these other products you're talking about?
Yeah. So first of all, we don't ask you to chew algae. Okay. We offer you cool products which are tasty. The first experience that you get tasty. The gummies are tasty. The bars are tasty. The second thing, it's interesting because, for example, your women vitality mix is blue green. It's a very unusual color. It's like, wow, amazing. Okay, so first of all, the difference of one, it's a celebration. The difference number two, every product that we have is carrying a nutritional claim. Okay, which is very unique. You don't find a spinner-based product with any claims, zero claims. They can tell you buzzwords, superfood, blah blah blah. I don't want to even hear these words. They mean nothing to me. Okay, I want to have tangible things. So that's the second thing, and and again, it's a combination of what's the way to produce the experience. And I want to add one more dimension, and for me it's important, and if someone could tells me it's not important for him, I'll respect that. I measure sustainability, Sean, and sustainability for me, it's not empty word, it's not a buzzword. I measure it in three dimensions: the carbon footprint, the water loss, and the land, the fertile land, because these are finite resources that we need to treat wisely, respectfully.
Right.
And for example, if you grow spirulina in an open pond, the evaporation rate is horrific. It's about 2 meters of water per year. So imagine you have a pond, you have to do 2 meters by the area, and you see the volume of water it's the worst camel in the world. I don't think you can do anything worse in terms of water consumption than growing a. And some algae farms are situated because you need a warm climate. We talked about this in areas, even in the United States, where we have shortage of water. In areas of
Mhm.
shortage of water, it's like almost like sin for me. Okay, it's like not a good crop for this place. Okay, so I look at this. The second thing is the amount of carbon footprint is coming mostly from the energy that you put in. So if you use energy, the energy is production is associated with carbon emissions. And it's not only to cultivate the algae, also to dry it, for example.
Mhm.
Drying is energy, and energy creates CO2 emissions. So for me, the fact that we're in Iceland is again is using clean energy, maybe the cleanest energy in the world, geothermal energy, but also the heat, the geothermal heat. So we can do things with living a very, very small carbon footprint that orders of magnitude than anyone else. And because it's vertical farming, we have a lot of light to algae area, but it's all vertical. So the footprint is 1% of the ponds that I described before for production of the same amount of spirulina. So for me, these are also important parameters. I want to know that the fact that I'm enjoying myself and doing something better for my health, and I'm not damaging something that So for me, it's all one package. It's science based, and that's why we call it impact nutrition. Impact has double meaning. Impact is impact on you. It's impactful. It creates something to you. But impact is also a buzzword that talks about your carbon emission. Okay, the
Yep.
global impact, the impact on our environment. So impact nutrition, again, it's not food, it's nutrition, because I have numbers, I have nutritional claims. So that's why impact nutrition, I think, captures maybe what we're trying to do in the best possible way.
So I think, the interesting thing here is I like the idea that it's sustainable. I think actually does Orlo have, a negative carbon footprint?
No, so there was a independent study
Uh-huh.
by a leading European organization. I mentioned some of them: the Matisse, the National Food Lab of
Yeah.
Iceland, DTI is a Danish Technology Institute, and Cambridge University. And they explored the carbon footprint of our production facility. It's
Okay.
a peer-reviewed published paper, and they concluded that the algae production phase is carbon negative. And Sean,
Okay.
I don't know of any other agricultural carbon negative. It's
No.
crazy. So how do you get a carbon negative? So that the amount of carbon the algae absorbs or fixes or eats, right, turning it from CO2 gas
Right.
into organic, is bigger than the amount of CO2 that emits because of the energy that you use or the fertilizer you use. Okay, that's how you become carbon negative.
Okay.
So if you take into account the other processes of producing the final products, then I can say it's carbon neutral. Okay. So all in all, it's a carbon neutral. Again, it's an insignificant mark on the environment, which is very different than anything else we do. By the way, we also operate in Iceland in an area that is a zero waste zone. So we're not allowed to release any waste, not solids or liquids. So out of necessity, we learned how to recycle things, how to be efficient with our resources. It was a very good exercise for us. So I think even on that level, we have no waste streams. We have no. It's something that only when you see it, and we are going to open a visiting center next year because we want to share how it's done. It's hard to explain. It's so different than anything else that we think about food production. You can actually come to a place and you can see how energy turns into food, like light, right? In front of your eyes. And it reminded me when you read the Bible, the first thing that God says, okay, what is his first sentence? Let there be light.
Let there be light.
That's the first thing he says. Why? Because light is life. Light is what's making photosynthesis work, and everything stems from photosynthesis. So when you come to this facility, you see how light supports photosynthesis, creating food just in front of your eyes in this okay, immediately, and it's mind-boggling, really.
I mean, it sounds fascinating. I'd love to go out there. I've heard that the facility they're building is got glass roofs so you can see the northern lights, and
yes,
I mean the whole concept just sounds amazing to witness it.
I have to tell you, someone asked me why would you do a northern light observatory in algae production? Like, what's the connection? So there are two connections. First of all, this kind of production facility is very Icelandic because of the clean energy we use and the clean water. So it's Northern Light fits into the Icelandic theme. But actually, everything we do is with nature. We're not fooling nature. We're not genetic engineering nature. We're respecting nature with everything we do. So why not respecting this beautiful show that is called Northern Lights? Absolutely, yes. It's all in the same theme.
Well, Dr. Berzin, I'm really happy you came on. I think I'm going to be talking about the Orlo products here in the next couple of weeks as they start to roll out. And I think that I have some of the gummies. They do taste good. They're apple lime flavored. And I didn't think they were as horrible as I thought. I've had wheatgrass. I think everybody's thinking it's going to taste like that, but it doesn't.
Of course,
So,
it happened to me before. I actually, the inspiration was I tasted an attempt from a different company to create a spirulina gummies, and I'm an algae enthusiast. So, oh my God, yes, let's have it. I had to spit it, and it's even rude because I felt that I ate sewage, horrible.
Yeah.
So this we have to do something about it. Algae cannot be perceived as yuck, right? Algae should perceive as yay, amazing, yummy. So I hope that's the direction. But I'll tell you what we do appreciate, Sean, is feedback from people because it's part of. We're not doing it on our own. It's a movement. The interactions are important. We need to hear people, see what's important, hear ideas about additional product we should think of, and it's a collaboration. We're all on the same page. We want to create something different, so we appreciate the feedback.
Well, great. I really appreciate it. Everybody you will be learning more about Orlo. Dr. Berzin, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge, which you are a vast wealth of. And hopefully one of these days I'll get to meet you maybe out there at the new facility. That would be awesome.
I'll invite you to a blue gin and tonic. How about that?
Oh, that'd be cool. I heard they make blue pizza crust too, which would be kind of interesting to see. But yeah, the possibilities are endless. And hey, if it makes things better, I think I even heard they make blue beer, which is
they do. Absolutely.
So yeah, we can.
Blue is a primary color. So if you mix it with other colors, you get crazy colors. So blue is just the beginning, John. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Have a great time there in Italy. He's in Italy, so you can all be jealous. And we'll talk later, hopefully. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Take care.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.